In the annals of human history, few figures command such a visceral and enduring fascination as the Roman gladiator. Their image, etched into the collective consciousness, oscillates between that of a brutalized slave and an adored celebrity, a paradox that speaks volumes about the complex society that created them. To truly understand the gladiator's existence is to navigate this intricate duality, examining the brutal realities of their lives alongside the fleeting moments of glory in the arena. The genesis of gladiatorial combat traces its roots not to grand spectacle, but to solemn funerary rites. Early instances, likely influenced by Etruscan practices, involved blood sacrifice at the tombs of noblemen, intended to honor the deceased and appease the gods. These early contests were often simple affairs, a somber ritual rather than public entertainment, yet they laid the groundwork for what would become Rome's most iconic and controversial pastime. Over centuries, these private rituals evolved, transforming into elaborate public spectacles. By the Republican era, gladiatorial games, or munera, were employed by ambitious politicians and wealthy citizens to gain favor with the populace. The scale and frequency of these events escalated dramatically, reflecting both the growing wealth of Rome and the increasing demand for popular entertainment. What began as an offering to the dead became a vibrant, often violent, expression of Roman power and social cohesion. The gladiators themselves comprised a diverse and often desperate cohort. The vast majority were slaves, prisoners of war, or condemned criminals, forced into the gladiatorial schools, known as ludi. For these individuals, entry into the ludus was a death sentence delayed, a life of servitude with a high probability of a violent end in the arena, yet it offered a slim chance of survival and even freedom. However, not all gladiators were unwilling participants. A surprising number were freeborn volunteers, known as octorati, who willingly signed contracts to fight. These individuals, often driven by debt, a desire for fame, or simply a thirst for adventure, traded their freedom for the rigorous discipline of the ludus and the potential for immense public adoration. Their choice highlights the peculiar allure of the gladiatorial life, despite its inherent dangers. Life within the ludus was harsh and disciplined, a stark contrast to the freedoms enjoyed by most Roman citizens. Gladiators were property, subjected to the absolute authority of the lanista, the owner and trainer of the school. Days were structured around rigorous physical training, weapon drills, and strict dietary regimens, all designed to transform raw recruits into formidable fighters. Despite their status as slaves, gladiators received remarkably good care in certain aspects. Their diet was often superior to that of the average Roman citizen, carefully balanced to build muscle and stamina. Furthermore, skilled physicians were employed to treat their injuries, as a healthy gladiator was a valuable asset, representing a significant financial investment for the lanista. This pragmatic care underscored their worth as commodities, even as it alleviated some of the suffering inherent in their situation. The various types of gladiators, each with distinct armor, weapons, and fighting styles, added to the spectacle's intricate tapestry. The heavily armored mirmillo, armed with a sword and large shield, might face the agile retiarius, who fought with a net and trident. These specialized roles created dynamic matchups, allowing spectators to develop preferences and follow specific combatants, much like modern sports fans. On the day of the games, a gladiator's life reached its zenith or its brutal conclusion. The procession into the arena, the pompa, was a moment of both dread and immense pride. Adorned in their finest gear, they marched before thousands of roaring spectators, a fleeting moment where their existence transcended mere servitude to become a central focus of Roman society. The combat itself was a carefully orchestrated, yet undeniably violent, affair. Rules governed the engagements, and referees, or summa rudis, ensured fair play, intervening to separate fighters or stop a match. While often depicted as chaotic free-for-alls, gladiatorial duels were highly skilled contests, requiring strength, agility, and strategic thinking. The outcome of a match was not always death. A defeated gladiator could appeal for missio, a reprieve, by raising a finger. The decision rested with the editor of the games, often influenced by the crowd's reaction. If the gladiator had fought bravely, the crowd might roar for his release, granting him another chance at life and perhaps future glory. For those who survived and consistently impressed, the path to stardom was undeniable. Victorious gladiators became household names, their images gracing mosaics and graffiti across the empire. They were celebrated in songs and poems, the subject of fervent fan followings, particularly among women of all social strata. This adulation offered a powerful counterpoint to their enslaved status. Some successful gladiators accumulated considerable wealth, even if it technically belonged to their lanista. They might receive prize money, gifts from admirers, and even endorsements, further blurring the lines between slave and celebrity. This financial success could, for a lucky few, lead to manumission, the ultimate prize of freedom, allowing them to retire from the arena. Yet, beneath the veneer of fame and potential wealth lay the ever-present shadow of slavery and death. Gladiators were still property, their bodies and lives owned by another. Disobedience or poor performance could result in brutal corporal punishment, a constant reminder of their lack of agency and their precarious position within Roman society. The mortality rate in the arena, while perhaps not as high as popular myth suggests, was undeniably significant. Each contest carried the risk of severe injury, disfigurement, or an agonizing death, a fate that hundreds of thousands of gladiators met over the centuries. Their lives were a constant negotiation with violence, a testament to their resilience or their despair. The public's perception of gladiators was equally complex, a fascinating blend of admiration and disdain. They were simultaneously revered as heroes for their courage and skill, and scorned as outcasts, associated with the lowest ranks of society. This dichotomy reflected Rome's own internal struggles with morality, power, and the spectacle of human suffering. Even free octorati, who chose the gladiatorial path, faced social stigma. Their decision to willingly enter such a brutal profession often brought shame upon their families, highlighting the conflicting values within Roman society. They were admired for their bravery but simultaneously seen as having fallen from grace, a living embodiment of the society's contradictions. The story of the gladiator, therefore, is not a simple narrative of victimhood or triumph. It is a profound exploration of human endurance, societal spectacle, and the inherent contradictions of freedom and subjugation. Their lives were a tightrope walk between the potential for glory and the omnipresent threat of oblivion, a stark reflection of the Roman world's raw power and its complex psychology. Through their struggles and their triumphs, gladiators inadvertently illuminated the very nature of Roman society, revealing its hierarchies, its aspirations, and its darkest desires. They became both instruments of entertainment and unwitting symbols of a civilization obsessed with power, order, and the dramatic display of human strength and vulnerability. The gladiator's legacy transcends the sands of the arena, echoing through the ages as a poignant reminder of humanity's capacity for both cruelty and courage. Their existence, caught between the chains of slavery and the roar of adoration, compels reflection on the true cost of spectacle and the enduring quest for dignity in the face of insurmountable odds. Their story, ultimately, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, forever striving for a flicker of recognition, even amidst the shadows of an unfree life.